My name is Lila, and the night my mother dragged me across the floor by my hair was the night I realized something terrifying. My biggest enemy had been living in my own house, wearing a smile everyone else believed. If you're new here, hit follow now because this story gets dark fast. I was 17, and for the first time in my life, I felt hope. I had spent months building my tech portfolio, apps, prototypes, small AI projects. I was applying for a dream summer internship at a major Silicon Valley company. It was my ticket out of the screaming, the manipulation, the house that never felt like home. The deadline was in 2 hours. I had everything laid out on my desk, neat and perfect, for once in my life. Then I heard her footsteps. My mother walked in without knocking. "What is all this?" she demanded. "My portfolio," I said, trying to sound confident. "The internship I told you about. The one that could get me a scholarship." She stared at it like it was trash. "You think someone like you will get picked? Don't embarrass yourself." I swallowed hard. I had heard her say worse, but something about today it hurt more. "Mom, please," I whispered. "This is important." She picked up the first page. I watched her eyes scan my code, my diagrams, the hours of work I had poured into every page. Then she smirked. Before I could react, she tore it straight down the middle. My breath caught. "Stop!" I lunged forward to grab the rest, but she slapped my hand away. Page after page ripped apart, shredded, falling to the ground like pieces of me. "You won't leave this house," she said. "You won't abandon your duties because of some stupid fantasy." I felt tears burning, not just from the destroyed portfolio, but from something deeper. Rage, humiliation, betrayal. "You can't do this," I said. She leaned in, her voice sharp. "Watch me." When I bent to gather the torn pages, she grabbed a fistful of my hair and yanked me back. Pain shot across my scalp. I screamed. She dragged me across the hardwood floor like I weighed nothing. "You're going to stay in your place," she hissed, "and I'm going to make sure you never forget it." When she finally let go, I curled around myself, shaking. For a moment, I thought she was done. But she grabbed the USB drive on my desk, the one thing I still needed to submit my work digitally. She held it up with 2 fingers. This is over too," she said. "No." I stood up, but she slapped me hard and the room tilted. She walked toward the kitchen trash can with the USB drive in her hand. Every step she took, my future walked with her. Something snapped inside me. I ran after her, grabbed her wrist, and for the first time in my life, she wasn't the one in control. Her eyes widened. "Lila," she warned. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't obedient. I wasn't silent. We struggled. The drive slipped, hit the floor, and bounced under the counter. My mom shoved me away. "You want to fight me?" she screamed. "You ungrateful little—" The front door opened. My brother, Ethan, stepped inside. He froze at the sight of us, me with a red cheek and torn papers around my feet. Mom with wild eyes and clenched fists. "What the hell is going on?" he said. My mother instantly switched to her sweet voice. "Ethan, honey, she attacked me." She lost control. I stared at her, stunned. "What?" "You tore up my portfolio." "Lila," she interrupted, "you need help." Ethan looked between us, confused, hesitant. "Mom, why is her hair all messed up?" "She pulled it herself," she lied. My throat closed. She wasn't just destroying opportunities, she was destroying my credibility. And Ethan believed her. He sighed deeply. "Lila, you've been stressed. You always get dramatic before deadlines." My chest tightened. "Ethan, please." "She hurt me." But he walked past me, stepping on the pieces of my work. "You need to calm down." My mother smiled behind him, a smile so cold it made my skin crawl. And that's when I saw something in her hand. My stolen USB drive. She slipped it into her pocket while Ethan wasn't looking. I froze. She saw me notice. And her smile widened. She mouthed one word. "Mine." Something inside me broke open. Not sadness. Not fear. Something sharper. Darker. Smarter. My mom and brother walked into the living room, whispering lies about me. I stayed in the hallway, staring at the empty spot where my portfolio had once been. And for the first time in my life, I started planning. But then, something happened. As I bent to pick up the torn pages, a small sound echoed from the kitchen. A faint electronic beep. I froze. It was coming from under the counter, from the same direction the USB drive had bounced. Another beep. My heart pounded. Because I suddenly remembered something. That USB drive wasn't just a drive. It had a tiny built-in tracker and auto backup function I added months ago. And it had just activated. Meaning one thing. Someone else had touched it. Someone who wasn't my mother. I walked toward the kitchen slowly, every muscle tense. I crouched down, reached under the counter, and my fingers brushed something cold. Metal, and definitely not mine. I pulled it out, and my entire body went cold. It wasn't my USB. It was a small recording device, still blinking red. Someone had been recording inside our house. And the last audio file was still playing. I put it to my ear. My mother's voice whispered through it. Once she breaks, everything becomes easier. My vision blurred. And then I realized everything inside me froze when Mom said, "You're not going anywhere, Maya. You belong here." Her voice was low, angry, almost shaking. She stepped closer, blocking the doorway like she owned my future. Dad appeared behind her, confused. "What's going on?" "She thinks she's leaving for some internship," Mom snapped. "Over my dead body." He stared at the shredded paper all over the floor. "Why would you tear it?" Mom didn't answer. She just glared at me, eyes cold. Like I wasn't her daughter, just a problem she needed to crush. I had spent years being quiet. Years being the good one. Years hoping she would finally be proud of me. But that night, something snapped inside my chest. "No," I whispered. She stiffened. "What did you say?" I said no, I repeated, louder this time. For the first time in my life, she looked scared. But she recovered quickly. "You're not smart enough for that internship. You embarrass yourself every time you try to be something you're not." Her words hit like knives. But instead of bleeding, I hardened. "I already got in," I said, voice steady. "They want me." She laughed. "Nobody wants you, Maya, not even us." Dad flinched. "Maria!" "Shut up," she snapped at him. "You let her grow this stupid dream. I'm ending it before she wastes her life." My hands clenched. Every insult from childhood echoed in my ears. Too quiet. Too weird. Too ambitious. Too book smart for nothing. I stepped forward. "Move," I said. She shoved me back. Hard, my shoulder hit the wall. Then her fingers hooked into my hair and she dragged me across the hallway like I was a misbehaving pet. I screamed, grabbed her wrist, tried to steady myself. Dad yelled, "Maria, stop!" But she didn't. Not until she reached the living room and threw me onto the couch. "You're not going," she hissed. "I'll lock you in this house if I have to." My scalp burned. My chest pounded. Then something inside me shifted, like a door opening. For years, I had survived her control. Tonight, I ended it. I stood up slowly. "You think you can stop me?" She smirked. "I already did." Right then, my phone buzzed on the table. An unknown number. Mom reached for it first. I grabbed it quicker. A voice message was waiting. When I pressed play, a man's voice came through. "Hi, Maya, this is the internship director. We reviewed your test project. There's a situation we need to discuss immediately." My stomach dropped. "Situation?" Mom folded her arms, smiling like she'd already won. I called him back with shaking hands. "Sir, what happened?" He exhaled. "Your submission was flagged. Someone sent us a message claiming you plagiarized every bit of it." My blood turned cold. "What? Who?" He hesitated. "It was sent anonymously. But they included screenshots, chats, claims that you paid someone to make your whole portfolio." My pulse hammered. "Sir, that isn't true." "I believe you," he said quietly, "but you need to explain this. We can't give you housing until it's resolved." I glanced at Mom. She was smiling. Not just smiling, glowing. My world spun. "You reported me," I whispered. She didn't deny it. She just turned away and started fixing the cushions. Like ruining my life was just housekeeping. I hung up the call, heart sinking deeper with every second. Housing was part of the internship. If I didn't have it, I couldn't go. Mom spoke calmly like she was discussing weather. "Now you understand. You can't survive without us. You will stay home. Study something normal. Maybe become an assistant. Something safe." I stared at her. "You tried to destroy my life." "No, Maya, I saved it." Dad stepped between us. "This is too far, Maria." She ignored him. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked to my room, shut the door, and sat on the floor. My chest hurt like something had broken. But in that breaking, something fierce was born. I pulled out my old laptop, the one Mom didn't know I kept hidden. I opened every saved draft, every sketch, every piece of code I had ever written. My real work. My proof. And then I remembered something, the mid-twist. 3 years earlier, my computer teacher had insisted we back up all files to a shared school archive. I had forgotten all about it. If those files were still there, I spent half the night searching, and there it was. My entire 3-year portfolio. Time-stamped. Verified. Unedited. Everything Mom claimed I stole, I actually created years before. My heart raced. I emailed the internship director immediately. "Sir, I have proof. Real proof. Can we talk tomorrow morning?" He replied 5 minutes later. "Yes, come in at 8 a.m. We'll review everything." I closed the laptop, breath shaky. I had one shot left. Only one. I packed a new bag silently, wearing the same hoodie Mom always said made me look pathetic. At 6 a.m., I cracked open my door. Mom was sitting in the hallway chair, arms crossed, waiting. "You're staying home," she said. I didn't blink. "Move." She stood up slowly. "Make me." For a moment, we stared at each other. I wasn't the scared little girl she dragged by the hair anymore. "I'm leaving," I said. "And you can't stop me." Then came the twist I didn't expect. Dad stepped beside me. "Maria, enough," he said. "If she walks out this door, I'm going with her." Mom's face drained of color. "You wouldn't." He looked at me, then back at her. "Try me." She froze. She didn't move. Not an inch. I walked past her. Dad followed. We got into his car. As we pulled away, I looked back at the house I had always been trapped in. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. I felt free. Inside the internship office, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The director reviewed every file I showed him. Then he played the anonymous accusation again. Mom's voice wasn't in it. But the writing? The phrasing? It was exactly how she talked. He looked at me softly. "You've been dealing with a lot, haven't you?" I nodded silently. He closed the laptop. "Well, Maya, you didn't plagiarize anything. Your work is impressive. And your drive after all this is even more impressive." Tears blurred my vision, but I held them back. "So, do I still have the internship?" He smiled. "You don't just have the internship. You're getting a full housing scholarship. Starting today." My breath caught. "Today?" He nodded. "You pack. We'll move you in. You're one of us now." I covered my mouth with both hands. He wasn't just saving my chance. He was saving my future. But the final twist came 4 months later. Mom showed up at my dorm, hair messy, eyes red. "Maya, we need help." The school board opened an investigation into the false report. They traced it back to our IP address. I could lose my job. "Please talk to them." I stared at her. The woman who dragged me by the hair. Tore my work. Tried to ruin my future. Now begging. Dad stood behind her, silent, ashamed. "Please," she whispered. "We're going to lose everything." I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I simply said, "I'm not responsible for your consequences. You made those choices." She reached for my arm. "Maya." I stepped back. "No, I choose me now." She broke. Right there in the hallway, I watched her cry, the same way I had cried 100 times alone. And I didn't move. I walked back inside, closed the door, and breathed. The emotional truth? Some people don't want you to outgrow them. Because when you rise, they lose control. But the moment you choose yourself, your life truly begins. If you want more stories like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications.